I was responsible for checking the hardware of the ICT 1301 computer, and that meant writing some pretty sophisticated software, meant writing also a bootstrap program to get the software into the machine at the beginning. I think we call them initial orders, and we had tremendous fun devising a program that would check the hardware. And we finished up with something that we called a leapfrog program, whose purpose was to merely transfer itself around the core of the computer, and then after it was about 40 minutes, get itself back to where it started, and having checked all those orders and commands. There was a great deal of pressure to deliver and get the machine out, simply because other people were building machines also, and we knew we would lose the market. But the main pressure, I think, was simply because the engineers, I mean, they took all the time during the day, and the time that I needed to do my work, I had to do it nights or not at all. There used to be some regulations that women were not allowed to work at nights. I think it dates from the days when women were the weaker sex. But I used to work at nights and hell with the regulations. Working nights was, it was a wonderful opportunity, really, because there was no time pressure then. I did have sort of probably 6 or 8 hours to myself. It was pretty inconvenient in that, after working through the night, I then stayed in some rather cheap Coventry hotels. And sometimes there was no accommodation had been arranged, or it had got muddled up and so on. So there were various ad hoc arrangements made so that one could have a bit of a rest. It was an intense period, but I think the computing industry, Britain was aiming to have a computer industry, and it did at that time. The sales of 200 1301s is quite a good achievement. The whole atmosphere there was very collegiate. We used to meet every day, the whole company, over coffee in the morning and tea in the afternoon. And that was a time when people exchanged ideas and battled between the different departments. So it was extremely different to the bureaucratic post office that I'd been previously engaged in. One of the sort of fun things that happened in the design was we used a large meeting room with a plan of the circuit diagrams, and people walked around the diagram to check that no two people wanted to go through the same gate at the same time, or want to stand on the same node. And that sort of treating it as fun and enjoying it. And we were actually very fond of the 1301. When we launched it, I cooked a cake, believe it or not, and a colleague then sort of cut it up into pieces and iced it to look like a 1301. Now that's real affection for a machine, that you actually do a birthday cake for it. I think it was the best ever selling commercial computer, so it has its place in history there. It's the first barrel printer that had ever been used. And I remember that was fun to program as well. And it really was a step function for the British computer industry, which we've now lost, unfortunately, but there it was. At that time, it was all very exciting, and we were trying to make a go of it.